How would you describe set-asides to a small business owner who maybe isn't so learned on the subject? And I floated this to you last week as you and I were communicating back and forth. In your opinion, why should small businesses consider going through the required steps in attempting to earn set-asides? Is it worth it?
It is absolutely worth it. What a set-aside means is that you are only competing against other people who meet that set-aside criteria. So say the federal government sets aside a contract for small businesses. The only people that can compete for that procurement are other small businesses. Same goes for set-asides for service-disabled veteran-owned small businesses, for women-owned small businesses, and for participants in the 8A program. If it is set aside for that group, you're only competing against, or you should only be competing against other companies that meet the same criteria that you do. So it really narrows down the pool of competition, and that can be a really big boon for anyone who is willing to take the steps to get certified to one of the set-aside programs.
What are some of the more important considerations for a small business owner, in your opinion?
So the 8A program, at least in my opinion, is the most difficult of the programs to get certified in. This is because there are a number of very, very specific requirements that create a little bit more wiggle room than some of the other programs. So by comparison to the SBA Service Disabled Veteran-Owned Small Business Program, you know, they'll go to the VA to ensure that you are a service disabled veteran, and that status doesn't change. For the 8A program, because it's based on social and economic disadvantage, it's a little bit more specific when it comes to how you meet those requirements, and even in specific cases, what those requirements are and how they apply to your business. So if anyone's interested in pursuing that 8A certification, you got a lot of hoops to jump through. They only approve about 50%, I believe, of the applications that come in. So it really, really pays to do your homework if you're looking into 8A certification. That being said, it is a great opportunity if you can get that certification. Because it's so difficult to get into, I think a lot of businesses are really hesitant to do so. And so, you know, there are fewer 8A certified companies, and so that really narrows down that pool of competition.
There are a number of assistance programs out there, as we've established, to include the Mentor-Protégé agreement. What is that? Can you kind of give us the nuts and bolts on that program?
So at their core, a Mentor-Protégé agreement is a form of agreement between a more experienced contractor, usually a large business, but it doesn't have to be, and just an entity that knows kind of the ropes of federal contracting, at least in the federal sphere, and a smaller, little bit less experienced contractor, so the mentor and the protege. There are a number of different Mentor-Protégé programs in the federal government, but the one that is the most all-encompassing is the all-small Mentor-Protégé program. And it's a good benefit to be a part of that program, because not only is the mentor able to give the protege some assistance in kind of getting their business set up for federal contracting, providing financial assistance in many cases, but if those two entities decide to form a joint venture, that joint venture can utilize the protege's set-aside characteristic. So if you have a large business and a small business that form a Mentor-Protégé agreement, and then they then form a joint venture between the two of them, they can use that small business set-aside to bid on work.
I see a number of positives over here. The U.S. government remains the number one customer in the world. Governments are still buying. From your chair, Haley, your firm works with a number of businesses. What would you say to a small business looking for positives right now, June of 2020?
I think two big positives. One of them you touched on is that the government hasn't stopped buying things. And that means
Correct.
that they haven't stopped buying things from small businesses. So this is a good time if you're looking for, something new to pursue because, your typical commercial lines of business have kind of hit a lull. It's really a good time to look into government contracting because kind of no matter what happens, or at least we hope, the government's not going to stop buying things. And we've definitely seen that happen in this instance. The second positive is that people are talking about small business now. And this isn't just, Congress. This is also, the news is very focused on small business, and there's a national conversation going on. And I think that ultimately is great for small businesses and really good for small business contractors. We know that in the future, although there's been a lot of uncertainty with kind of the first wave of the pandemic, because we really haven't seen anything like that in the recent past. I know there's been a lot of conversation in the federal sphere about how to better utilize small businesses in responding to situations like this as well. So next week, we actually have one of my fellow associates at Koprince, Ian Patterson. He'll be discussing the Defense Production Act, which currently allows the president to basically tap contractors to have some sort of response to any sort of disaster situation. So, for example, in this case, the president used it to have some auto manufacturers start making ventilators and things like that. Mm-hmm. They are discussing how that law can be better used to support small businesses as well as, those large businesses that can quickly turn their production to whatever the need is. So I guess to wrap up that point, Congress is thinking about small businesses and especially how to support them, and especially small business contractors in the case of an emergency like we've encountered.